I freeze in the doorway of Callan's apartment, keys still dangling from my fingers. The scene before me doesn't make sense, like walking into a familiar room where all the furniture has been rearranged. My sister Leona sits on Callan's couch, one leg crossed over the other, wearing my cream-colored sweater, the one I'd been looking for all week. She's laughing at something, head tilted back, throat exposed. Callan stands awkwardly by the kitchen counter, his posture screaming discomfort, shoulders hunched, weight shifting from foot to foot. "Tamsin!" Leona's voice rings with manufactured surprise. "I thought you had lab until 6. Professor Winters canceled. The words come out flat, emotionless. Callan's eyes dart between us. "She just stopped by," he explains, hands spreading in a defensive gesture, "to talk about stuff." That's when I see it. The coffee mug on the table in front of Leona, the perfect crimson imprint of lips on the white ceramic, the exact shade she's wearing right now. My phone buzzes in my pocket, then again, and again. "We were just discussing Thanksgiving plans, weren't we, Cal?" Leona smiles, using the nickname I gave him. Her voice drips with familiarity, with ownership. Callan hesitates, rubs the back of his neck. "Yeah, I guess." His eyes fix on the floor, the wall, the ceiling, anywhere but my face. My phone keeps buzzing. I pull it out, thumbing the screen to life. Notifications from Campus T flood my lock screen. 5:47 p.m. prime time for campus gossip, as everyone heads to dinner. I don't open them. I don't need to. 2 years earlier flashes through my mind with painful clarity. My high school graduation day, family and friends gathered in our backyard. Mom had spent weeks planning it. "Your special day," she'd promised. I'd barely opened my gifts when Leona clinked her glass, drawing all eyes to her sparkling new engagement ring. "Surprise," she'd announced. "Devin proposed last night." The memory shifts to Jake, my first college boyfriend. How Leona coincidentally appeared at our favorite coffee shop, at our regular study spots. How she'd text him about family surprise plans for my birthday. How he started mentioning her name in every conversation until he finally admitted, "I think we want different things." My mother's voice echoes in my head. "She's just being friendly, Tamsin. You're too sensitive. That's what big sisters do." The morning of freshman orientation returns to me standing in my dorm room, making a promise to myself as I taped photos to my wall. "Never again," I'd whispered. "No more chances." Callan shifts his weight, drawing me back to the present. His phone sits on the counter, unlocked. A text notification banner slides across the top. "Leona Carter. Thanks for coffee earlier. Let's do it again soon." Something inside me sharpens to a point. I keep my face neutral, maintaining the same pleasant expression I've perfected over years of family photos. The one that makes my mother say, "See? Everything's fine." "You two seem comfortable," I say, my voice steady. "Don't let me interrupt." Leona's purse gapes open on the coffee table. A corner of what looks like photographs peeks out. More evidence, more ammunition, more of whatever game she's playing. "I forgot I have study group," I lie smoothly. "Developmental psych project due tomorrow." I check my watch for effect, though I know exactly what time it is. "You two catch up." "But you just got here," Callan protests, finally looking at me directly. There's panic in his eyes, maybe guilt. "Duty calls," I smile tightly. "See you later." I turn and walk out, closing the door quietly behind me. In my car, my hands shake as I finally open Campus Tea. The first post shows a photo of Callan and Leona at the campus coffee shop, heads bent close together over a table. His basketball jacket is unmistakable. Her hand rests on his forearm. The caption reads, "Basketball star getting cozy with his girlfriend's sister? Family feud." My phone dings with a text from Leona. "Heading home. Talk later about Thanksgiving?" I start the car, my fingers no longer trembling. The dashboard clock reads 5:53 p.m. 6 minutes since I walked into Callan's apartment. 6 minutes to confirm what I've suspected for weeks. "Not this time," I whisper, pulling away from the curb. "This time, I have a plan." I've kept count over the years. 3 boyfriends and 1 almost fiancé. Next day, the notebook in my hands weighs nothing and everything as I flip through the pages. 4 years of meticulous documentation stored in a purple moleskin journal I bought after Jake, my freshman year boyfriend, suddenly needed space, only to appear at a family dinner 2 weeks later, asking Leona about her graduate program. Sunday dinner at my parents' colonial-style home always follows the same choreography. Mom in the kitchen refusing help but complaining about doing everything herself. Dad in his study on business calls until the last possible moment. Leona arriving fashionably late with some dramatic news that redirects all attention. And me, slipping away between the salad and main course with the excuse of a bathroom break. Today, I have 20 minutes maximum before someone notices my absence. 20 minutes to search the bedroom Leona still keeps at home for convenience, despite her downtown apartment. My fingers work methodically through her nightstand drawers. Nothing unusual. Beneath her bed, I find a shoebox of keepsakes, old concert tickets, birthday cards, a bracelet I thought I'd lost last summer. The closet yields nothing until I spot the corner of a leather-bound journal wedged between winter sweaters on the top shelf. I drag over the vanity chair and reach for it, my heart hammering against my ribs. What I find turns my blood to ice water. Pages of notes on Callan, his basketball practice schedule, favorite study spots, food preferences, coffee order, a photograph of him mid-jump shot with a date and timestamp from 3 weeks ago. Another of him leaving the science building last month. I flip further. Screenshots of text messages between Leona and someone listed as FL. FL, is she still dating him? Leona, for now, working the angle we discussed. FL, remember what happened with Dorian, don't rush it. Leona, trust me, her taste in men is predictable, this one's even easier. FL, Operation Payback requires patience. My phone camera clicks softly as I document each page. My hands, surprisingly steady now, methodically capture evidence of my sister's calculated betrayal. I control my breathing 4 counts in, 4 counts out, a technique my therapist taught me last year when I finally sought help for what Mom dismissed as sisterly jealousy. That's just how sisters are, Tamsin, she'd said after I confronted her about Leona and Jake. You've always been too sensitive. Not everyone is out to get you. Dr. Martinez had suggested a strategic distance from my family. Sometimes we need space to recognize unhealthy patterns, she'd explained. I nodded along, made notes, but never implemented her advice. Family obligation runs deeper. Carter family value my father preaches during his brief appearances between business trips. The stairs creak. I freeze, journal still open in my lap. Footsteps approach the distinctive rhythm of Leona's walk in heeled boots. Quickly, I return the journal to its hiding place and grab a perfume bottle from her vanity just as the bedroom door swings open. Tamsin? Leona's surprise looks genuine, but I've watched her perform confusion many times before. What are you doing in my room? I hold up the crystal perfume bottle. Borrowing your Chanel. Hope you don't mind. Her eyes narrow slightly. I forgot my purse upstairs. Mom's about to serve the roast. I'll be right down. I spritz my wrist casually, heart thundering beneath my calm exterior. Leona hesitates, glancing around the room as if taking inventory. Don't snoop too long, she says with a half smile. People might talk. After she leaves, I wait 10 seconds before slipping out, evidence safely captured on my phone. Tomorrow I will tell Beth everything. I need my friend's help. She's been to every home game this season, Beth says the next morning over coffee at the campus cafe. My roommate stirs her latte thoughtfully. My cousin who works in the dean's office says there have been situations before. Situations? I wrap my hands around my mug, anchoring myself. Beth leans forward. Complaints from other students. Nothing official, but enough whispers that people notice. I didn't want to say anything before because, well, she's your sister. What kind of complaints? The campus buzzes around us, students rushing to morning classes. Boundary issues, especially with athletes who are already in relationships. Beth tucks her blonde hair behind her ear. Jeremy from the basketball team warned me weeks ago that your sister had been hanging around practices talking to Callan. I think about Professor Winters, my psychology mentor, who had suggested my research project on familial manipulation patterns with unusual enthusiasm. This could be quite illuminating, Tamsin, she'd said, her eyes holding mine a beat too long. Had she known? That night in my dorm room, I download a recording app on my phone and test its range. If placed between books on a library table, it captures voices clearly from 6 feet away. I stare at my psychology textbook, a chapter on covert narcissism highlighted in yellow, and pick up my phone. Study session tomorrow? Library? Usual spot? I text Callan. His response comes immediately. Absolutely. 4 p.m.? I confirm and set down my phone, mentally mapping out tomorrow's strategy. I'll need to position my belongings carefully, making it natural to leave everything behind when I excuse myself to find a research paper. For a moment, doubt creeps in. The voice in my head sounds suspiciously like my mother's. You're overreacting. This is your sister. But then I see the evidence again: the journal, the photographs, the text messages about Operation Payback. My resolve hardens. This isn't about jealousy or competition. Something deeper, more calculated is happening, and I need to understand the full scope before confronting it. Evidence, not emotion. I whisper to myself, the mantra becoming a shield against the hurt threatening to crack my composure. I open my laptop and begin to plan. Next day, I spread my psychology textbooks across our usual table near the tall windows of Hartwell Library. Callan's basketball duffel sits under the chair across from me, his notes already scattered beside his open developmental psychology text. The late afternoon sun slants through the glass, illuminating dust motes that dance between us. Professor Winters wants 5 peer-reviewed sources, I say, highlighting a passage about familial manipulation patterns. Think we can finish before closing? Callan flips a page, his forehead creased in concentration. If we split the research. His eyes meet mine briefly before returning to his notes. You're better at finding the cognitive stuff anyway. I check my watch. 4:17. Leona's Tuesday comparative literature seminar ends at 4:30. She'll need at least 10 minutes to cross campus, probably stopping to chat with Professor Holloway about her thesis. That gives me a 20-minute window. I need to find that research paper on siblings and identity formation, I say, gathering my phone. The one by Dr. Harrison? It should be in the psychology journals section. Callan nods without looking up. I'll start on the methodology section. I weave between the towering shelves, breathing in the comforting smell of paper and binding glue. At the psychology section, I pause, waiting until an undergraduate with headphones shuffles past. Then I retrieve my phone, open the recording app, and slide it between 2 thick journals on attachment theory. I angle it carefully toward our table, visible only as a thin black edge between dusty spines. The timer on my watch reads 4:26. Perfect. I spend 15 minutes actually searching for Dr. Harrison's paper, finding it tucked in a bound journal from 2019. Then I take the long route back, circling through ancient philosophy to approach our table from behind the reference section. That's when I see her. Leona leans over the table, her voice too low to hear from this distance. Her hand rests on Callan's forearm, fingers splayed possessively. Her hair carefully curled this morning. I'd noticed when she passed by the dorm falls forward as she bends closer. The yellow sundress she's wearing is new. I've never seen it before. Callan hasn't moved away, but his entire body radiates discomfort, his shoulders bunched toward his ears. His free hand grips his pen so tightly I can see the whitened knuckles from here. He stares fixedly at his textbook while she speaks, nodding mechanically. I duck behind the American history shelf, my heart hammering against my ribs. Through a gap between books, I watch them. Leona laughs softly at something, tossing her hair back in that practiced motion I've seen 1,000 times. Still, Callan doesn't pull away. For 10 excruciating minutes I observe them. Leona touches his shoulder, his hand, his arm, brief contacts that could be dismissed as friendly if you hadn't seen this pattern before. If you hadn't lost Jake Harris and Dorian Wells the same way. Finally, she glances at her watch and straightens. She says something that makes Callan nod, his relief visible even from my hiding spot. As she walks away, her fingers trail across his shoulders. I wait until she exits through the main doors, counting to 60 before emerging from the stacks. My hands don't shake, my breathing remains even. 2 years of psychology studies have taught me something about controlling physiological responses. I return to our table, sliding the Harrison journal onto the pile. Found it, I announce, voice steady as I settle back into my chair. Callan jumps slightly, then smiles too widely. Great, I've outlined the methodology section. He taps his pencil against his notepad, a nervous rhythm. Your sister stopped by. I bookmark a page in my textbook, not looking up. Oh, that's nice. She wanted to know if we're coming to that family dinner Sunday. I highlight another passage about covert emotional manipulation. Did you finish the cognitive development section? Callan's pencil stops tapping. Yeah, Nearly done. He watches me for several seconds, then returns to his notes when I don't react. We study for another 2 hours. I answer his questions about attachment theory, debate the merits of longitudinal studies versus cross-sectional research, and help him format his citations. Not once do I mention Leona or the yellow sundress or the way his voice catches whenever he says my name. In my room that night, I lock the door and plug in my headphones. The first minute of audio captures only the ambient sounds of the library pages turning, distant keyboards clicking, someone coughing 3 aisles over. Then Leona's voice, unmistakable even in a whisper. Surprised to see me? Callan's response is clipped. What are you doing here? Just being a supportive sister, checking on my favorite future brother-in-law. We've been dating 8 months. Nobody's talking about details. The sound of movement, a chair scraping slightly. You know, I've been watching you play. You're wasted on Division 2 ball. A pause. Tamsin will be back any minute. You're only with her because she's safe. Leona's voice drops lower, more intimate. I could make you feel something real. My fingers curl into fists, nails biting into palms. Callan's voice hardens. Back off. I'm not saying it again. A soft laugh from Leona. That's what Dorian said too at first. Then Finn convinced him otherwise. Who's Finn? Just a mutual friend. Someone who understands the game better than most. The sound of her standing. Think about it, Calvin Matthews. Some opportunities don't come twice. Silence for several seconds, then the fading click of heels on tile. I replay the conversation 3 times, my psychology training cataloging the manipulation techniques. Isolation, triangulation, implied scarcity, veiled threats, but it's the name that catches me. Finn. I've heard it before. Opening my laptop, I type Finn Langston basketball into the search bar. The results load quickly. Finn Langston, point guard for Eastern State, career-ending knee injury 3 years ago during conference playoffs against Riverside Valley, against Callan's team. I click through to his social media profile. His cousin is listed as Dorian Wellesme, ex-boyfriend from freshman year. The same Dorian who suddenly broke things off after meeting Leona at my birthday dinner. Further scrolling reveals photos of Finn with a group of players at a party. In the background, partially obscured but recognizable, Leona wearing the signature red dress she saves for special conquests. The connections crystallize with terrible clarity. This isn't about attraction. It's not even about competition with me. It's about revenge. Callan had been on the court when Finn's injury happened, the promising career destroyed in a collision during a crucial play. I lean back in my chair, a strange calm settling over me. For the first time in our lifelong game, I see the full board, all the pieces, the strategy extending beyond the next move. Not about love, I whisper to my empty room. About revenge and control. The realization should terrify me. Instead, I feel something unexpected unfurling in my chest, something that might be strength. Sunday dinner, I arrive at Riverside Bistro 30 minutes early, a decision that isn't accidental. The hostess, a blonde woman with kind eyes, greets me with practiced warmth. Reservation for Carter, I say, watching her scan the list. Her finger stops. Ah yes, for 4 at 7. Your sister called ahead to arrange special seating. She smiles, collecting menus. She requested our intimate corner booth in the back. Very romantic lighting. Of course she did. I return the smile while my stomach tightens. Actually, I say, keeping my voice light, could we switch to that table instead? I point to a table near the front windows, surrounded by other diners, bathed in the golden light of sunset. I love watching people walk by. The hostess hesitates. But your sister specifically. I know she meant well, I interrupt gently, but I'd really prefer the window. It's a celebration after all. We should be seen. She nods, rearranging her seating chart. Of course, right this way. I smooth my cream-colored dress, simple, elegant, deliberately understated, and follow her. The table is perfect. Visible from the entrance, surrounded by other diners, impossible to play footsie under without being noticed. I take the seat facing the door and wait, running through my mental checklist. Beth knows to arrive at 7:15 with a convincing story about accidentally spotting us. The teammates will follow at 7:20. My phone sits in my purse, primed to record. Callan arrives first, his tall frame made more imposing by the dark blue button-down that brings out his eyes. He leans down, pressing a kiss to my cheek that lingers a beat longer than usual. "You look beautiful," he says, his voice sincere. "Thank you." I squeeze his hand as he sits beside me rather than across. Another calculated move. "I still think we could have celebrated alone," he murmurs, close enough that I catch the mint on his breath. "Family is important to me," I reply, the practiced line floating out effortlessly. His eyes flicker. "Tamsin, about your sister." The restaurant door swings open, and conversation around us stutters to a momentary halt. Leona stands framed in the entrance, wearing a dress the color of fresh blood. It hugs every curve, the neckline plunging dangerously low, the hem stopping several inches above her knees. Her dark hair cascades over bare shoulders. The hostess leads her toward us. I note Callan's quick glance, instinctive, male before his eyes lock firmly back on my face. Points for effort. "Sorry I'm late," Leona announces, though she's precisely on time. She bends to hug me, her expensive perfume invading my space. Traffic was a nightmare. She takes the seat across from us, directly facing Callan. "Cal, congratulations again on the scholarship. Dad would have been here, but you know how his business trips are." "Thanks," Callan says, his posture stiff beside me. "It's not final yet." "But it will be," I add, letting my pride in him show genuinely. Coach Martinez practically guaranteed it. The server appears and we order drinks. I choose water with lemon, needing clarity. Leona orders a cosmopolitan, its color a perfect match for her dress. Not a coincidence. Conversation flows with practiced ease. Leona asks all the right questions about Callan's basketball season, his scholarship prospects, our summer plans. Anyone watching would see a supportive sister, interested in her siblings' relationship. I drop my napkin deliberately, bending to retrieve it. Under the table, Leona's foot rests between Callan's legs, her red heel dangling precariously from manicured toes. His knees are pressed tightly together, body angled away from her. I straighten, napkin recovered, expression unchanged. "Excuse me," I say, standing. "Restroom break." In the privacy of the hallway, I pull out my phone and text Beth. "Now." When I return, the dynamics have shifted. Leona leans forward, one hand touching Callan's wrist as she laughs at something. He withdraws his arm as I approach. "Tamsin!" A familiar voice calls from the entrance. Beth waves enthusiastically, as if spotting us is a delightful surprise. Behind her stand 3 of Callan's teammates, all grinning. "Beth!" I respond with manufactured surprise. "What are you guys doing here?" Leona's smile freezes. Her eyes narrow almost imperceptibly. "Post-practice hunger," says Marcus, the team captain, already pulling chairs from a nearby empty table. "Mind if we join? We're celebrating Cal's scholarship news, too." "The more the merrier," I say before Leona can object. Relief washes over Callan's face as the table expands from intimate to crowded. Leona shifts her chair back slightly, creating distance from the newcomers. The red heel that had been teasing toward Callan now tucks firmly beneath her chair. Once everyone settles with drinks, I raise my water glass. "I'd like to propose a toast," I announce, meeting each person's eyes before landing on my sister's. "To honesty and loyalty, the foundation of every meaningful relationship." Beth smiles knowingly. The teammates echo the sentiment. "And," I continue, my voice steady as I maintain eye contact with Leona, "to my research project on interpersonal manipulation that Professor Winters approved yesterday. I'll be exploring how people create false narratives to control others." Leona's cosmopolitan wobbles in her hand, liquid sloshing dangerously close to the rim. For a split second, her mask slips, revealing something sharp and cold beneath. "Fascinating topic," she manages, setting her glass down carefully, though perhaps not appropriate dinner conversation. "On the contrary," I reply, my smile unwavering. "I think it's perfect for tonight." 2 days later, I slide into a corner booth at the Grind, 15 minutes early for my meeting with Rebecca. The coffee shop buzzes with afternoon activity, perfect for our conversation to blend into background noise. My hands are steady as I arrange the folder of evidence on the Tabla calculated display of organization. Rebecca Walsh, Campus T's most ambitious student journalist, arrives precisely on time. Her curly red hair bounces as she slides into the seat across from me, laptop already in hand. "I'm surprised you reached out," she says, studying me with sharp green eyes. You've never struck me as the type to court publicity. I push the folder toward her slightly. Not enough to offer it, just enough to acknowledge its presence. I'm not interested in publicity. I'm interested in truth. She glances at the folder. About your sister and your boyfriend? That's already trending. Old news by tomorrow. It's not about a trending topic, I reply, taking a deliberate sip of my coffee. It's about a pattern, one that affects more people than just me. Rebecca's eyebrow arches. Her journalistic instinct clearly piqued. She leans forward. What kind of pattern? I open the folder, revealing carefully organized photos, screenshots, and handwritten notes. Not everything I have just enough. Leona has a history. These are incidents spanning 3 years, 5 relationships, mine and others. Rebecca flips through the materials, her professional detachment slipping as she recognizes names, places, timestamps. This is methodical. Psychology majors tend to notice behavioral patterns. I say, my voice neutral, despite the anger simmering beneath my skin. Look at the timestamps on the coffee shop meetings. The text messages to mutual friends. The coincidental appearances. She studies a particular photo longer than the others. Leona with a basketball player from State University, dated 8 months before she ever met Callan. The similarity in their posture, her hand placement, is unmistakable. So what do you want me to do with this? She asks finally. I close the folder, sliding it back toward me. Nothing yet. Just watch the rooftop party on Saturday. Greenfield Apartments, sunset. That's all. Rebecca taps her pen against her notebook. This isn't just gossip, is it? Would I be here if it was? I hold her gaze steadily. She pockets her pen. I'll be there, but I can't promise coverage. I'm not asking for promises, I say, standing to leave. Just witness. The knock on my dorm room door comes Thursday evening, soft but insistent. I know who it is before I open it. Leona stands in the hallway, looking uncharacteristically disheveled. Her eyes are rimmed red, mascara slightly smudged, a perfect picture of distress, whether genuine or manufactured. Can I come in? She asks, voice small. I step aside wordlessly, my laptop already open on my desk. With one casual movement, I tap the recording app icon as she enters. I've been thinking about everything, Leona begins, perching on the edge of my bed. About us, about how things have been. I sit at my desk chair, maintaining distance. Have you? I've been going through something, Tamsin. Her voice catches, tears welling. Since Dad started traveling so much. Since Mom, well, you know how she is. The script is familiar, the emotional appeal, the shared family reference, the subtle redirect of blame. I've heard variations of this since we were children. What exactly are you going through? I ask, my voice careful, curious rather than accusatory. Leona looks up, seemingly surprised by the question. People rarely ask her to elaborate on her emotional claims. I need attention sometimes, in ways that aren't healthy. A partial truth, the most dangerous kind. I was thinking, she continues, maybe we could do some family counseling. Just the two of us to start, to work through our issues. My recording app blinks silently as I consider her. The perfect trip. If I refuse, I'm unreasonable. If I agree, she controls the narrative with a therapist. I'll think about it, I say, neither committing nor refusing. Leona reaches for my hand. I let her take it, feeling nothing as her fingers curl around mine. I just want my sister back. Saturday evening bathes the rooftop in golden light. String lights crisscross overhead, ready to illuminate the gathering once the sun sets. Music pulses through portable speakers, not yet loud enough to drown conversation. I position myself near the refreshment table, a strategic location visible from most angles of the rooftop. Callan joins me, handing me a cup of punch that I won't drink. You look beautiful, he says, and I hear the undercurrent of tension in his voice. She's here, I murmur, angling my head slightly. 3 o'clock. Leona appears by the rooftop entrance, wearing a pale blue sundress that catches the fading sunlight. Several heads turn as she weaves through the crowd. Callan's shoulders tense beside me. Let's talk about our plans for the psychology conference, I say, loud enough to be heard clearly, launching into our practiced conversation. Callan follows my lead, discussing potential research presentations. We look engaged, focused on each other, our future, exactly as planned. I track Leona's approach in my peripheral vision. She wears determination like another accessory, her smile fixed as she navigates toward us. "Callan," she says, her hand immediately finding his arm. "Can we talk privately? Just for a minute?" I feel his arm stiffen under her touch. Around us, conversations dim as attention shifts our way. "Anything you need to say can be said here," Callan responds, voice firm. I notice Rebecca positioned by the DJ table, her phone casually held at recording height. Two other Campus Tea contributors stand at different angles. Leona's expression flickers with frustration before settling into something softer, more vulnerable. "Please, it's important." Before Callan can respond, Leona steps forward and kisses him. Her movement is fluid, practiced and perfectly timed as several phones aim our way, capturing the moment. Callan pushes her away immediately. "Have you lost your mind?" he demands, voice cutting through the sudden silence on the rooftop. Phones buzz all around us as notifications ping. Campus Tea's live update feature working exactly as intended. Rebecca captures everything, her expression professional despite the drama unfolding. I step forward, my voice steady and clear. "I think we're done here." Leona's face transitions from feigned passion to genuine shock as she registers the phones, the witnesses, the trap she walked into. For once, she has no script to follow. "You planned this," she whispers, comprehension dawning. I meet her eyes directly. "No, Leona. You did. I just made sure people were watching this time." 3 days later, I straighten my spine as I walk into the dean's office, manila folder tucked under my arm for the final notice. The weight of evidence inside feels substantial, weeks of documentation, screenshots, recordings, and witness statements. Not a revenge portfolio, but a pattern of behavior finally brought to light. "Miss Carter." Dean Reeves gestures to the chair across from her desk. "I've reviewed your submission thoroughly." Her office smells of coffee and old books. Behind her, framed degrees hang beside black and white photos of the campus from decades ago. I wonder how many family dramas these walls have witnessed. "Leona has been suspended pending further review," she says, folding her hands. "Her leadership positions with the Student Union and Honor Society have been revoked." I nod, something loosening in my chest. Not satisfaction exactly, more like verification. Reality finally aligning with truth. The Student Council issued this statement this morning. She slides a paper across her desk. I scan the carefully worded paragraph about standards of conduct and community trust. Diplomatic language masking the simple fact. My sister systematically targeted my boyfriend as part of a lifelong pattern. "What about your studies?" Dean Reeves asks, her voice softening. "I'm staying." The words come without hesitation. "I'm specializing in family dynamics. Professor Winters has agreed to supervise my research." 2 weeks later, I sit at my desk writing the hardest letter of my life. "Mom, I choose peace over pretense. For 22 years, I've smiled for family photos while ignoring what happened when cameras lowered. I can't do that anymore. I'm not cutting contact. I'm establishing boundaries." "Your daughter." "Tamsin." Dad calls that night the first real conversation we've had in years. His voice cracks when he says, "I should have seen it. I'm sorry, Tamsin." Weeks later, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I join 8 others in a campus meeting room. Siblings of manipulative family members, meets between the chess club and debate team. We speak truths there that would shatter family dinner tables. Callan and I walk the empty track field one evening, frost crunching beneath our shoes. "I should have told you sooner," he says, breath clouding in the cold air, "when she first showed up at practice." "Would I have believed you?" I ask. "Or would I have heard Mom's voice saying I was overreacting?" He takes my hand, his palm warm against mine. "How do we trust after this?" "Carefully," I answer, with our eyes open. The letter arrives from New Mexico 3 months later, Leona's flowing handwriting on the envelope. "You win. Maybe that's all I ever feared." I place it unopened on my desk, next to my mother's reluctant text acknowledging, for the first time, that perhaps she'd enabled a pattern. Graduation arrives like the final page of a chapter. My psychology honors medal feels substantial against my chest as I scan the audience. The empty chair where Leona might have sat. My parents, sitting slightly apart. Callan, who deferred his graduate school acceptance nearby, whistling as I cross the stage. Later, I stand outside the psychology building, where freshmen hurry past discussing that Hartwell Sisters drama from last year. One girl says, "I can't believe she actually documented everything. So badass." I smile as they pass, no longer defined by that story. That night, I place Leona's unopened letter in a wooden box beside my psychology honors medal. I run my fingers over both before closing the lid with gentle firmness. Some sisters share clothes, others share lessons. I've learned mine,